Hi, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Pawan, I think you messaged, right? You couldn't
In
answer.
discourse,
Hello?
in discourse, ma'am.
Yeah,
I post.
I think I got a mail. Yeah. You couldn't solve that last week surprise quiz, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You are asking me to solve. Yeah, before joining everyone to join, before, can I discuss that one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sure.
Let me share my screen. Yeah, this is the question, right? I just copied. Uh, Can you unmute, Pawan? I want to see how
Yes, ma'am.
much you have solved this problem. How much you have solved here? I think some of the blocks you can simplify right
Yes,
now.
ma'am. This series combination I solved
Yeah, that means this one.
H1G2. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, right. And
And
also this
this
one
one,
also you can solve.
yes, ma'am. Feedback,
This
closed
is a
loop gate.
feed forward sum plus, right? It's
Yes,
not
ma'am.
a feed forward. Let me redraw this one by simplifying those blocks. After simplification, what will be this block? Can you tell me, Pawan?
This one, ma'am.
Yeah,
Top
the
one.
top one. Yeah.
Yes. G4 plus G2,
Okay.
G3.
G4 plus G2, G3. Yeah, right. This one, this one is G2, H1, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now here I think you stuck here.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the- Yeah, here at this point actually make you trouble, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
one approach here is we can bring this to here. Let's say for example, we are having a block like this. It's having a G, and this is the point, right? This is something I'm telling the signal is some X. Okay, this is your C, or like let's say Y. Now you wanted to bring this takeoff point to here, right? This is your X. Now you are taking here, right? So it will be, if it is G, if you divide this by 1 by G, then whatever you are taking here will be equivalent to dividing by 1 by G, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The same thing you apply here.
So we have to minus that G2,
One second.
G3.
You did this step,
Which step?
this
Subtract.
bringing the
No,
takeoff
ma'am.
point after this block
No,
G4
ma'am, I
plus
didn't.
G2, G3 here, it will be 1 by G4 plus G2, G3, right? You just divide this one in 1 by G because you are bringing from here to here. That means you need to divide this one divide by this one. So it will be like this. Then followed by G2H1. Is it clear? And this I am writing here H2. Is it clear? Pawan.
I'm dividing by that what it will give actually.
Hmm?
Dividing by 1 by G4 plus G2, G3 to the
See,
output. What
this,
it will give actually. We
what
need
is
H4 in the field actually. We need. Can you scroll bit up? G4 we need in, in connection with the G2, H1.
yeah, this is after simplification G2, G3 plus G4, right? This I
Yes, ma'am.
am replaced with one single block here.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I am removing this take a point to after this summing point. After this
Okay.
G4 plus G2, G4. That is what I
Okay.
did here.
Okay, ma'am.
Is it clear now?
Okay, ma'am. Got it.
Now you can simplify, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
I'll do it. Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Yeah. Can we go to the class week 4 session now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's continue in the same sheet here. Yeah, let's go to the week 4 content. Uh, so week 4 we will discuss about time domain analysis. So as of now, let me quickly summarize the whole content what we have learned as of now. In the week 1, what we studied is what we learned is characterizing how to characterize a given system. Like system is linear, time invariant, um, causal, non-causal. So all these things we have understood. How do you classify? Suppose if someone is given you some plant or modeling equation, now you can able to tell whether the system is linear, non-linear, or time variant or time invariant, so and so. Right. In the next class, what you learn is just representing a closed loop system in a block diagram form and what are the typical signals involved in that. And then you learn about how do you compute the uh, uh, system response and assuming the system is a linear time invariant, then the system response to be turned out to be convolution of impulse response with the input signal. So since computing convolution is a little bit tedious, so what we exploited the transformation of system into frequency domain. In the frequency domain, that means in the Laplace transform, it's a convolution become equivalent to multiplication. And also you also learn that how do you solve the differential equation using Laplace transform. It's a simple algebraic equation manipulations. So that's what you have learned in the week 2 life. Then next, um, system response and the Laplace transforms. Then in week 3, you learn about simplification, transfer function of a system and what are the poles, how do you represent the poles in S-plane, and then simplifying the block diagrams and so on. You will learn in the week 2 class. Now in this week 4 lesson, you will focus on time domain analysis. So since even though frequency um, doing computing responses in frequency domain is a easier task because of multiplications and manipulating a algebraic equation, but sometimes we need to know about how the system behave. If you give an input to the system, let's say for example we are having a system like this, and this is your output and input, given input. So you wanted to know how the system behaving. That means how the response looks like if immediately after giving the system input. That means if the system is immediately responding, and that means how fast the system is. Suppose if you turn on AC, will it immediately cool to 24 degrees? No, if you set that in the reference is 24. It's not like that, right? It will take some time and then it will slowly settle to the reference in temperature. Like that. So for any given system, so you need to know how much time it is taking to settle in the final steady state. And then second one is in between giving the input to the system and reaching to the final state, how the system is behaving in between. That is also we need to know. This is called the transient behavior of the system. How the system transients behaving. Then you wanted to know, suppose after reached to steady state, we wanted to know whether it is reached to the given set point or not. If it is, uh, after reaching the set point, that means whether is there any error between given set point and our actual output. That is called the steady state error. So these are the things you need to know. Once you design the controller, before the designing the controller, how the time domain, how the system behaving in time domain, and after design the controller, then is it reaching the required specifications or not. So these are the things you need to know. So that's the reason the in this chapter we will learn about the time domain analysis. Okay. Um, Time domain analysis here with respect to response. So I told you two things. One is, let's say for example, if you give an input, uh, let's say step input, so it won't go to immediately go to final state, right? It will take some time. It may reach to like this, or it may go like this. It can happen anything. So it won't at all reach to steady state. It may simply oscillate. So these all are the things that can happen. So what is we divide the system response into two things. One is transient, another one is steady state. So and also you also need to know another thing is system response in natural response of the system, forced response. Usually systems have energy storing elements. So even if you didn't apply some input excitation, the system have some natural response. Like if you have a capacitor or circuit, so because of some initial voltage in the present in the capacitor, it can have some response like this, even though if you didn't give any input, right? So this is called the natural response of the system without any excitation. I think you might have already gone. You have solving differential equations in mathematics. I think there are two things. One is called particular integral and complementary function. In a complementary function, what you do is just take the differential equation and equate to zero and find the solution. Right. This is similar to that same natural response. Natural response is without having any forcing input. Then forced response is you are giving some input to the system. So what is the response of the system for a given input? This is called forced response. So this is about system responses. Then in this class you will go through typically you will go to two kinds of systems. One is first order and second order system. What is first order system?
which has
which had
one
one
zero.
pole in it.
Yes,
Which
One
has
pole.
one pole at zero.
One
yeah, it is
pole.
One pole at zero.
one pole at
Need
zero.
not to be at
At
zero. Need
origin.
not
Yeah,
to be.
yeah, it is need not to be at zero. Or I can simply say that highest polynomial of denominator of a transfer function is one, right? Right, and also you will learn about uh, second order system response. Basically, in this class, we will take first order and second order system responses, and then regarding inputs, you also what are the standard inputs, test signals for a given
Impulse and unit step and ramp.
right. So in this week, you will learn the response of the system to impulse and step. Why you consider these two, or even ramp also important, but these are the two mainly used test inputs. Basically, you will use. What is the example of what is the typical scenario where we encounter step input? Can anyone give an example? Some physical example where you give this step. Daily you will do this kind.
Like turning on a
Fan off,
fan.
turn on.
Uh, yeah, switching on. If you want to switch any system, like power on any system, then it will be a step. And even in fan, if you change the regulator position, you are changing the position at regular steps. So that is also resembles the step input. Then impulse is a kind of short shocks, right? Just you suppose if you take a pendulum case, you just give one shock like this. So this is a response of pendulum with respect to impulse. So these are the two typical inputs you will usually give. So this chapter or in week 4 we only focus on first order and second order systems for step and impulse responses, which consists of both transients. You analyze how the transients are going for a given input and how the steady state, and then you will also learn about the response characteristics and steady state error. Okay, this is about this week. Now let's go with week first order system. We will analyze now with first order system. The typical block diagram first order system looks like. 1 by s tau. Now, what is the transfer function? Can anyone tell?
One by s tau plus one.
Yeah, right. Mm. So then y of s is equal to r of s into 1 by s tau plus 1. Now let's first see with impulse response. So impulse response R of s, what is the impulse Laplace transform for impulse? It is equal to 1, right? So y of s is equal to 1 by s tau plus 1. Then y of t will be this is equal to 1 by tau e to power of minus t by tau. So the response will be, it looks like uh, this is t, and at t equal to 0 it is 1 by tau, then it is decaying like this, right? Now for step input, let's say example R of s. R of s is 1 by s, right? Now y of s is equal to 1 by s into s tau plus 1, which you can write separate it out using partial fractions. Okay, 1 by now y of t will be 1 minus e to the power of t minus tau. So the response looks like this is your let us suppose this is 1. Then initially at t equal to 0, this is 1, so 0. So you will get the response like this. Here, if you see at t equal to tau, this will be equal to 1 minus e power minus 1, right? So this will be equal to 0.632. So this is called the tau. Tau is called the time constant of the system, which is equivalent to the time taken for the system to to reach 60%, 63% of its final value for the step input. This is called the uh, time constant of the system. So the time constant tau tells you how fast the system is uh, responding to the input. Let's say uh, I'm giving three systems. One is having a time constant s plus tau, and the second one is having a transfer function of 5s plus 1, and third system we are having a transfer function of zero point 0.2 plus 1. So tell me which of these three systems is faster?
Third one, I think.
Yeah, third one, because the time constant here is less. That means it will reach, it will take to reach 63% of the final value, it will take only zero point 0.2. Whereas here it takes 5 and here it takes 1 second. So uh, this is actually from the given once you have given it the system, then you can find out whether this is how fast the system is behaving by seeing the quotient of s. We can write this one in a pole configuration, pole zero configuration also, right? Suppose if you have 1 by s tau plus 1, we can write it as 1 by tau into s plus 1 by tau. So what is the pole here? We are having a pole at p is equal to minus 1 by tau. So this also gives you how the system is behaving, how fast the system is behaving. Suppose we are having two poles, one pole at some point 2 and another pole at uh, 10, like that. So which system, the response of the system will be e to the power of minus p into, right, 0.2 into t. So which one will be whose dynamics will be uh, died out fast? Which one, this one or this one? So this is the one which goes faster decaying, right? Whereas this one dynamics takes slow. So that is the reason when you analyze the systems, uh, the poles which are closer to the origin, we will consider those things as the dominant poles. The remaining poles which are far away from origin, whose response will die out quickly. So we can neglect those things. So even in why we are considering only first order, second order, you may ask, right? There are multiple, even in real time system, we can't see or hardly see first order system and second order system. But how do you tackle those systems? Generally, by using this pole zero concept, we can approximate any higher order systems by either by first order and or second order system. We can approximate them because by using this concept, dominant poles. We will only take the dominant poles into the system and then approximate the system into first order or second order system, and then we analyze it. Because higher order systems, analyzing higher order system in time domain is very complex. Okay. So that is the reason we are learning only first order and second order systems in this class. Then now we'll go to analyzing the second order system. The typical second order system in a closed loop form is like this. It has k s square plus sorry s into tau s plus 1. Then transfer function will be y of s by r of s is equal to a by s square plus s square tau plus s plus k. Can write it as k by t tau by s square plus s by tau plus k by tau. Or generally we will write it as the numerator part as omega n square, that is called the natural frequency of the system, then s square plus 2 zeta, zeta is the damping ratio, and omega n natural frequency, then omega n square. This is the transfer function for the second order system. So here analysis of second order system is divided into based on the zeta value. So one is we consider 4 cases. One, zeta equal to 0. Second case, zeta equal to and zeta is in between 0 less than 3, and fourth case is zeta greater than 4. So we will analyze the response of the second order system with the following 4 cases for both impulse and step response. Let's go with impulse response. You want to derive these equations or just go ahead? Hello?
Just derive once.
Okay,
That's
okay,
right.
okay. So impulse response, where R of s is equal to 1. I will go quickly because it's actually complicated. A lot of manipulations are there. Wherever if you are not able to clear, just unmute and let me know. Okay. So let's for the case R of s equal to 0, the impulse response is 1. Then transfer function y of s by y of s will be R of s equal to 1 means then omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. First case, that is zeta equal to 0, then y of s is equal to omega n square by s square plus omega n square. Right. Now y of t, it's a form of sine function, right? So y of t will be omega n into sine omega n t. So the response for the input, so you are giving a step input here, then what you are getting is a sinusoidal signal like this. Sorry, I am not properly drawing, but the concept and amplitude of magnitude omega n. So when zeta is equal to 1, the system will oscillate with a frequency omega n. Now for the case if zeta is equal to 1, then y of s is equal to omega n square by s square plus 2 omega n s plus omega n square. Then we can write this one as omega n square by s plus omega n whole square. So which will be, this is equal to omega n square e to the power of minus omega n t t. Right? So the response here, we don't have any oscillation. So it will go like this. The response looks like this. This is t. Now for the case when zeta is zeta is in between 0 and 1, y of x is equal to omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. So which we can write it as omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus zeta omega n whole square. I am adding and subtracting this term plus omega n square. So this is equivalent to omega n square divided by this is s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square whole square. Is it okay? Is it clear? I'm not getting any response. Are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just stop me wherever you are not clear. Okay. So I am writing this one as omega n the square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n into 1 minus zeta square by s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square whole square. So this is the response. Can anyone tell this one? We know the Laplace transform of sine function which shifted by some zeta omega n.
T
Square root of 1 minus zeta square e to the power of minus zeta omega n t sine omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. I am writing this as some omega d. Okay. Now onwards I will write omega d equal to omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square. This is called the damped frequency. Okay. So the response has it's a sinusoidal function whose oscillations are reducing at the factor of this one exponential function. So your response of impulse response of second order system for when zeta is in between 0 and 1, you will have damped oscillations like this, right? This is determined by this point, this factor e to the power of minus zeta omega, right? Now for the case when zeta is greater than 1, then you can write the same equation y of s is equal to omega n square by some s plus roots. I'm actually calculating the roots of this equation. R1 plus s plus R2, where R1, R2 are it's not roots, actually it's a factors. You can make it as we can do the factorization and then we can find out this is minus omega n into zeta plus square root of zeta square minus 1. So the response of the system y of t is equal to omega n by 2 into square root of zeta square minus 1 e to the power of r1t minus e to the power of r2t. You can simplify this one. You can even write like this and calculate inverse Laplace transform by using partial fractions. Okay, so here if you see that system response is actually having two exponentially decaying functions. So the system response is like this. So it is smaller than e to the power of zeta equal to 1 case, whose amplitude, so this is a little bit sluggish. It will slowly go. Okay. Now we will see the step response of the second order system.
Ma'am, can you please explain when zeta is equal when zeta is greater than 1?
Mm, yeah, zeta equal, this one actually I'm writing two factors here, the same thing what we have done here. This one I'm actually simplifying into in this case like this r1 zeta omega n minus uh, let me write. So here y of s is equal to omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square, right? So this we can write it as omega n square by s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega n square root of zeta square minus. This you have seen already, right?
Yes,
This one.
ma'am.
Now what I am doing, writing this one as omega n square by s plus zeta omega n whole square minus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1 whole square. Can I write like this? Because this is 1 minus zeta square, I am taking minus of here. So that means it is j. J square means minus 1. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we can write it as two factors. S plus zeta omega n plus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1 s s plus zeta omega n minus omega n square root of zeta square minus 1, right? So this one I am calling as root r1 and this is r2. From this you can do, right? Just do the partial fractions after that. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a impulse response of a system. How I can summarize this one. Let's say you are having a system. So in the case of undamped case, that means zeta is equal to 0, you will have oscillations. When zeta is equal to 1, you don't have any oscillation, it will exponentially decay like this. In the case of zeta is equal to greater than 1, you will have much more like this. When zeta is in between 0 and 1, you will have damped oscillations. Like this. I'm not drawn clearly, but this is how the system behaves. Now we will go to step response. So in this case, R of s is equal to 1 by s. Then y of s will be equal to 1 by s into s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Now the case 1, when zeta equal to 0, then y of s is equal to 1 by s into s square plus omega n square. Then it is 1 by s minus s by. I am skipping off calculating quotients. You already know these things, right? How do you calculate a and b? So that's why I'm directly putting those two. We can verify those after this class is over. This is now y of t equal to 1 minus cos omega nt. So the response looks like it is again oscillatory, but this is 1. Now the system is oscillating around about like this. So when zeta equal to 0, that means there is no damping. The system is oscillating with its natural frequency. The second case is when zeta equal to 1, which we call as critically damped case. This is undamped.
Ma'am, the Laplace transformation of 1 by s, it should be u of t.
Yeah, u of t or 1, you can write it like 1 because both are same. U of t or u of t has a magnitude 1, right? The step
Okay, ma'am.
response, you can write it as 1. Both are same. E of t minus 1 minus cos omega t. So I agree. This is a more mathematical way of writing since we know the signals now. Then zeta equal to 1. Then y of s is equal to 1 by s into s square plus 2 omega ns plus omega n square. So again this is 1 by s into s plus omega n whole square. So do a partial fractions again, 1 by s minus omega n by s plus omega n whole square. So this is equal to, then y of t equal to 1 or u of t, whatever it is, and it's a convention we are writing as 1. So omega n e to the power of minus omega n t t. Now for the case when zeta is in between case 3, zeta is in between 0 and 1, which we call as underdamped case. Before it is undamped, when zeta equal to 0, this is underdamped. So y of s is 1 by s into s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n whole square. This I am writing as 1 minus s plus 2 zeta omega n by s square plus 2 zeta omega n plus omega n square. Again, I'm telling that I'm skipping off calculating these coefficients. You can verify these things at home. So how now I am simplifying this as 1 minus s by s plus zeta omega n plus zeta omega n divided by s plus zeta omega n whole square plus zeta omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square whole square. I am writing directly this one. I already told you, right? How can we split like this? So this is 1 by s minus s plus zeta omega n by s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square whole square minus to make it sine function here, zeta omega n into square root of, I am multiplying and divide by 1 minus zeta omega n square root of, then s plus zeta omega n whole square plus omega n into square root of 1 minus zeta square whole square. Now this is a cos and this is a sine. So y of t is equal to 1 minus e to the power of minus zeta omega n t cos. I am writing this as omega d for simplification. Okay, omega dt minus zeta by square root of 1 minus zeta square sine omega dt. Is it clear? This step is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now what I am taking, I am taking e to, oh sorry, here it is minus zeta omega n t also. Now I am taking e to the power of minus zeta omega t common. By square root of 1 minus zeta square common, then we will have 1 minus zeta square cos omega dt minus zeta sine omega dt. Okay, then I can write this as 1 minus e to the power of minus zeta omega n d by square root of 1 minus zeta square into cos omega tt plus some phi, where phi is equal to tan inverse square root of 1 minus zeta square by zeta. Okay, any doubts here?
That phi, how?
Pardon?
Phi. How you wrote that phi value? Tan inverse of 1 by this.
This one, this
Yes, ma'am.
just, you might know these things, right? Simplification of this one. This one we have let's say for example. Then this is square root of 1 minus zeta square and this is zeta. Then this will be 1. Right. It's a triangle. Then we can write it as cos phi is equal to theta and sin phi is equal to um, I think let me draw clearly here. Uh, take a triangular rectangle. This is your phi. Then assume this is 1 minus zeta square and this is zeta. Then this will be 1. Right. Then cos phi is equal to square root of 1 minus zeta square and sin phi will be zeta. Then this expression we can write it as cos phi cos omega dt minus sin phi sin omega dt, right? Then this is equal to cos omega dt plus phi. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this is the trigonometry, typical trigonometry we will use in solving trigonometric equations and all. So we just take this one as, because these two are form a right angle triangle, zeta and square root of 1 minus zeta square. So we can write like this. So the response of the system in case of underdamped case. So y of t I'm writing here again. This is very important equation. You should not forget. E to the power of minus zeta omega n t by square root of 1 minus zeta square cos omega dt plus phi, where phi is equal to tan inverse square root of 1 minus zeta square by zeta. This is very much important equation. Even when you deriving time domain response characteristics, there you need this equation a lot. Okay. Now let's go to over damped case, that is fourth case. Zeta is greater than 1. Here y of s is equal to 1 by s into s plus zeta omega n, sorry, zeta omega n plus omega n square. So we can write this one into partial fractions like a by s. No, before going to that one, I will write this 1 by s into s plus zeta omega n n plus omega n into square root of theta square minus 1, as I derived this one before, s plus theta omega n minus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1. You remember this one. In the impulse response for over damped case, we derived this one. See, I'm writing this equation. Here. Okay. Now we can do the partial fractions again. Let us say a by s plus b by s plus beta omega n plus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1 plus b by s plus beta omega n minus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1. So we will, after finding that partial fraction coefficient ABC, you will get 1 by s plus b is nothing but 1 by, it's a big one actually, 2 into zeta square minus zeta into square root of zeta square minus 1 divided by s plus zeta omega n plus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1. We can try this thing, and here it will be 2 by 2 into zeta square minus plus zeta plus square root of zeta square minus 1 minus 1, right? Plus plus zeta omega n minus omega n into square root of zeta square minus 1. So y of t will be 1 minus e to the power of minus zeta minus square root of 1 minus zeta square omega n t by 2 into square root of zeta square minus zeta into square root of zeta square minus 1 minus 1 plus e to the power of minus zeta plus 1 minus zeta square omega n t 2 into square root of zeta square plus zeta into square root of zeta square minus 1 minus 1. Okay, so it is having two exponentially decaying terms, this one and this one. So your response is much sluggish than critically damped case. In critically damped case, you will find out the response like this. But in this case, zeta greater than 1, the response is much more slower than critically damped case, zeta equal to 1. So this is the response of second order system for step input and impulse input, where we consider four cases: zeta 1, zeta equal to 0, that is under damped case; then critically damped case, that is zeta equal to 1; then under damped case where zeta is equal to where zeta is in between 0 and 1; over damped case where zeta is greater than 1. Okay, let's solve some simple problem. You will understand how to solve the problems. So let's suppose, for example, we are having a transfer function like this. So what we have to do is find the value of k. Find k for which damping ratio zeta is equal to 0.7. This is your problem. Okay. So how do you do this one? First, you simplify the transfer function. We can find it out, the transfer function for this one, g of s will be this is 1 by s square plus 2s plus k. Sorry, 2s plus sk. Right? This is a one closed loop. So this will be 1 by s into s plus 2 divided by 1 plus sk by s into s plus 2. So this is equal to 1 by s square plus 2s plus sk. Right? Now, so now the overall transfer function for this one is g of s is equal to 10 by s square plus 2s plus sk divided by 1 plus 10 by s square plus 2s plus k. So which is equal to 10 by s square plus 2s plus k plus 10. So this is a second order system with a closed transfer function. Looks like omega n square by s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Right? This is a second order system where omega n is equal to square root of 10. Right? Now compare these quotients. Then here this part is equivalent to this one. That means the S quotient two plus k is equal to 2 zeta omega n, where omega n is equal to root of 10. That means zeta, sorry, that means k is equal to 2 zeta omega n minus 2, where 2 zeta is nothing but 0.7 is the requirement into omega n square is 0 to 10 square root of 10 minus 2. So your k will be 2.424. So this is how you need to solve if there are some variables that they wanted to find out for a given damping ratio or given natural frequency. Is it fine? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's all for now. Uh, you have any doubt here?
No, ma'am. Clearly.
No, ma'am.
And please share this document so that
Yeah, sure.
solve once.
Yeah, I will share you these documents. So for the next class, what we will discuss is time domain specifications, like what is the rise time, what is the delay time, what is the maximum overshoot. That means the under damped case, you will see that the oscillations are coming initially and then it is going down. right? So those things you can see. Then followed by steady state error also we'll learn in the next class. You have any doubts here?
Ma'am, what was the output of the quiz, surprise quiz test of the previous class?
Last class, actually, I'll circulate one Excel sheet. Actually, we wanted to put there. We'll share all the marks. So actually, everyone solved the Laplace transform for that problem, but many have skipped to specify the region of convergence. I think only 2 students actually mentioned the region of ROC of that given transfer function. So that's what I observed. So I might, I wanted to give it some, I want to reduce, let's say, some off mark for that, because that is very much needed. You need to mention what is the ROC for the given transfer function. Given,
No, ma'am.
hmm.
I'm asking today. You taught one questions which was given by sir
Uh-huh.
in surprise quiz.
Okay.
I am asking about that output, the final output.
So I think you might have solved, right? You didn't solve?
No, ma'am. I couldn't be able to come to the final answer.
You want me to complete that one? No?
Or you
I
can
just
post
gave you
it
the
on
hint.
Discord.
I just gave the hint for that one.
Ma'am, we'll ask it on Discord because
Yeah,
we
there I
have
will
some.
post the final answer. I think you can solve that one based on that uh, clue which I gave you. When you join. I think initially I explained about that one how to solve. You are there? Hello?
I think few minutes late I was.
Okay, okay. Then let me quickly share that one.
So, ma'am,
So
regarding this
initially,
session, we have
so this is
another sessions is which is collapsed with this sessions. We
yeah. Actually, I make a notice to the POC, but they didn't give any reply. I will again follow up them. So we'll see that if possible we can change that type. Okay. Yeah, this is the how to solve this equation and this surprise block diagram. We are having 2 blocks. So this one, first one, this part we can solve, and this one you can solve, right? Just multiply these two, and here these are 2 multiplication followed by sum up. So this will be G4 plus G2 G3, and this is G2 H1, right? Now what you are confusing is here is some takeoff point here. So here is some takeoff point which is actually making you to difficult to solve. So what I'm suggesting is you shift this point from here to here. So I gave you one example here. Suppose if you have a G like this and you are having input X and you are taking the same point here X, and if it is now you wanted to shift this takeoff point to this side, what we have to do? We have to we have to insert a block here 1 by G. Then you will have the same value. Here we are getting X. Now this is Y. This is Gx, right? Now this Gx divided by G, then you will get X. So these two are equivalent. Is it clear? Hello?
yes, ma'am.
You understand this logic here?
Yes, ma'am.
So here is a one takeoff point before the block diagram before G. That I am shifting to here after G. Then what we have to do? We have to insert a one block here with a transfer function 1 by Z, so that these two are equal. So the same logic I am applying here. So I am bringing this takeoff point to here by inserting 1 by G4 plus G2 G3. Then you will get transfer function like this. So you will have G1 plus G2 G3 and H2 as usual. Now this block because I am bringing this one to here, you need to insert a block with a transfer function g equal to 1 by g4 plus g2 g3. Now you can find out easily, right? This is a one feedback loop, then multiply with g1, then these two multiply, then this is one more feedback, then again after that this is a unity feedback. So that's how you can solve. This is 1, then step 2 and step 3. You will get 4. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want, I can post it. I'll write it in the. I will write this, draw and share the screenshot in the disclose. Any doubts? Srinivas?
Ma'am?
Ah.
Yeah, ma'am. My week 3 is not graded yet, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
Actually,
actually, I raised the request for that one. Disclose, you have asked that. I saw that there is some discrepancy in the answers, solutions. So I raised a request for that. That
okay.
Q6, Q7, Q8 questions, right? So I
Yeah,
asked them to reevaluate to the correct answers. What you mentioned are correct. Those are the correct answers only. So there
yeah,
was a
ma'am.
mistake actually.
Uh,
So I raised the request from for them to reevaluate all the three questions Q6, Q7, Q8 with revised answers. But in the case of Q7, there is a 0 at infinity because we did not thought what is the meaning of 0 to infinity as of now, and also there is no option to type for numerical answer, right? So you can't enter infinity there. So that is the reason I asked them to remove completely that question from the evaluation. Okay.
yeah, ma'am.
So
Yeah, one more thing, ma'am. Actually, I uploaded my the PDF in the Google form, but
Mhm.
I forgot to click the option yes for the last question, ma'am. It asked, did you upload the PDF or not? For that question, I just for mistakenly I didn't answer that question, but I have submitted my PDF. So, i-
that
is it
I
good?
need to discuss with the POC. I'm
Yeah,
not
okay,
clear.
ma'am. Can you check
So,
it, ma'am?
yeah, can you mail me again? I will forward that to the for them.
Sure, ma'am. Like, what's your mail ID, ma'am? So I can note.
Manikvalli underscore yes study dot iitim dot.
1 minute, ma'am. 1 minute. Like, can you tell me again, ma'am?
Yeah, I
Or
can write
can
it
you
in the
put it in
chat.
the chat box?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah, this is fine.
Uh,
Any other queries? Yeah, quiz today. I'm giving quiz for next class, not today. So because since this time today most of the time we spend in deriving the equations. So next week, next class we will solve more problems and then I'll give you the quiz for that class for that week. Okay. Any other doubt? Okay. Let's wind up. Thank you.
Thank you.